I was watching Market Mondays and I saw that Rashad was pissed from EYL. So I wanted to break down what got him so upset and whether he has valid points or not. Let's jump right into it.
Sure. Black people's biggest enemy is black people.
Wow. So it comes out black people's biggest enemy is black people. I have a lot of thoughts on this. I'm going to wait and let him explain it first before I share my reaction.
It's a minor few that spreads. You always going to get destroyed by your own people internally.
Now, his point, you always are going to get is destroyed by your own people. I think I agree with that. Black people are our own biggest enemy. And I don't say that because other people aren't trying to hold us down or other people aren't causing problems. I see it too often, and I see it throughout history with leaders, with movements, etc. Yes, there's other institutions who are trying to rip us apart, but usually the one that has the dagger is our own people, right? The one that kills, assassinates our own people, the one that does coups in Africa are our own people. Yes, they may be financed by other organizations, but it's our own people. A house divided cannot stand. It just doesn't work. It doesn't matter if the whole world is against you, if you as a people are united. However, if the whole world is against you and you're divided, it's really easy to break up. And that's what's happened over and over. It seems that every time somebody's trying to do something good or somebody rises meteorically, there's some issues and people trying to drag them down. And that's what I think Rashad is alluding to here. It's something that happens and something we really have to eradicate from our culture if we're truly going to move and reposition, actually reach that next level for the masses.
True. But they got taken out by entities that were not run by us.
And they had problems with people that look just like them.
Ian had a great point, and I think he talked about what I was saying about institutions, and it was the people on the ground who were hating, like everybody. Black people hated Malcolm X, Black people hated Martin Luther King. Some Africans really disagree with Nelson Mandela. This is not just an African American thing. This is a whole across the whole African diaspora. This is across the African continent. Right, one of the biggest issues I saw when I traveled to Africa, I'm Ghanaian, but I was raised in New York. One of the biggest issues I saw was tribalism. And that really broke my heart. I went back to the continent, I visited a few countries, and I said, oh, okay, let's see what's going on. And I saw so much where people didn't want to vote for another person because they were from a different tribe. And there's this huge divide, and there's this anti-usness that we really have to conquer. But let's jump right back into this video.
Love.
Yep. Just
they wasn't celebrated when they was alive.
Yeah, it was a lot of pushback. But this is my post-Mexico glow. I'm in peace, love, and harmony. It is what it is.
WCW.
For real. Got the air bitch off.
Women crush
Wednesday.
Shout out to Sting.
For real.
Shout out to Alice, good energy.
Alice,
yeah, shout out to Alex, my guy.
So some stuff have been going on behind the background where people are trying to put out hit pieces or exposure pieces saying that EYL fell off or that their numbers aren't as big or whatnot, and saying, hey, they're in decline. Yeah, I think a lot of people are missing the fact that, in my estimation, Ian, Rashad, Troy, through Market Mondays at least, have made the Black community, I'll say multiple 8 figures, if not 9 figures, meaning as the people they've impacted, they might have helped people as a whole make over $100 million through investing if people actually follow the stock picks and the index picks that they have provided. And the vast majority of it has been free. We also have to realize that when people are giving high value content and information, especially for a long period of time, in a very focused area, people don't always stay in the same numbers, right? But just because you're looking at numbers on one way doesn't mean their business interests or what they're doing has declined. Because if they've just followed their own advice by themselves, they probably made 8 figures as well individually. So I think a lot of times people get wrapped up into fame and vanity statistics and think that's a measure of wealth. A lot of people who are doing big numbers or quote unquote big numbers are not actually making real money. So I don't think that's a great statistic in terms of showing how they're strong. If you really wanted to analyze, I think a better statistic will be how many people are going to their conferences or their pop-ups or their events. That might be a better metric if you really want to analyze it that way. But I think he has a point, and they have a best-selling book that came out, which is amazing. Black authors coming out with a best-selling book. So I think there's a lot of things going on where people are trying to tear them down. Unfortunately, I think as a culture, that's something we have to really get rid of. Other people's success is not a bad thing. And I don't know why this happens, especially when it comes to academic success, when it comes to professional success. The only weird place that it seems like there's not really vitriol for somebody succeeding in our community is when it comes to entertainment and athletics. And I wouldn't put them in the entertainment field, right? I wouldn't. I know it's media, so we think entertainment. I put them in the educational, informational, motivational space. That's where I personally place them.
You want to play games, but this money ain't no joke
at all. And inflation is going higher and higher.
This is true. This is true. So I want to talk about a company, Ian.
But before, okay, QQQ. Let's get back.
So even with that, if you just invested in QQQ, that means you quadrupled your investment over a few years, which is almost unheard of in investing, right? Especially if you're going with super speculative assets. So this is where I think some of the frustration comes in, and I'll touch a bit on. Let's dive into a bit more.
If in life, if somebody can't assassinate you, the next thing they try to do is assassinate your character. And there's always going to be a population of the people that go along with this because.
And this is something I think he's pointing out in terms of how much he's done or how much they've done. And it's frustrating as a leader, as an innovator, as a producer, when you start doing something and you're doing a lot for people and then you're getting spit in your face, sometimes it makes people feel, what's the point? Because think about, before them, how many people were actually producing this type of content for the Black population and not just selling them get-rich-quick schemes. So this is something that you can just look at, go back through everything they said and see if you did the moves they suggested, would you have been in a better place? Particularly on Market Monday, because Market Monday is the one that I follow the most. And would you be in a better place? I'll say the vast majority of people, or almost 95+% of people, will be in a much better place if they had taken the advice and made the investment picks they suggested. And that's a great way to really judge something, right? You can backtest this.
Try to keep replaying one loop of a 2-minute clip that somebody said on a show that wasn't even ours, then hey, you fuck your life over if that's all that you can get from it. But at the end of the day, nobody made you money like us. That's just a fact.
That's a big fact, yo.
So it ain't no.
So I think one of the things that he's alluding to is somebody is clipping up or highlighting piece of information that was wrong, and they're emphasizing and utilizing it to say earn your leisure is X or earn your leisure is Y. And Rashad makes a great point here. He says 2 minutes of content is what you're basing hundreds, if not thousands of hours of content they produced. That's how you're evaluating. And that's really not fair. Almost everything has bugs. Almost everything's defective. If we're doing that, if we're scrutinizing our people, and I'm not against scrutinizing. That's how you get better. I know somebody wrote a comment on one of my previous videos that I'm going to get back to. And they said that, hey, they loved everything I said. I thought it was a lot of wisdom, but this isn't the right way to say it. So I think some of your best advice can come from people who dislike you. And they're saying, so there's always something to learn from that. But to really try to expand or highlight 2 minutes of content, that's not, to me, that's not a great evaluation. There is, other than Jesus Christ, there's nobody you can throughout history that you can look at you can't look at their life or look at a bunch and find pieces and issues that they've done. Now, if that starts to replicate or you're seeing a trend, then that's an issue. You're seeing a trend, you're seeing this happens, you're seeing a get rich quick scheme, it's a barometer or it's a canary in a coal mine. Okay. But if it's just this extracted piece of content that doesn't match the vast majority of the other data set, that doesn't seem right to me. What are your thoughts?
No negotiation. It ain't no, no, I'm not reaching. Everybody copied us. If they got a stock show, they copy.
Hello. Hold on, Rashad. One more time.
That's a fact. If they got a stock show, they copied us. if they went to another continent.
So I think this is another piece of frustration. He's very right in that they pioneered a lot of this. They're the leader in the space. They actually set and created a lot of this market and created interest and created a structure that other people can mimic. And when that happens and you see people get wealthy or achieve fame off a wave or trend you created, and then those people come back to bite you, fight you, or say somebody else is better, that's frustrating to pioneers. And in some ways, rightfully so, because when you're creating a wave as a pioneer, yes, there is green grass in some way, but there's also a lot of headwinds that you have to run into. And there's things they probably had to do that other people don't realize. I remember when they created their first conference, I was really impressed. I went to the first one. I was really impressed because as a business owner, as an investor, I know and moderator, I speak, I run events, I host events, etc. I know some of the logistical nightmares it is to put together a conference, especially that night. And they did, I think, with 1 month, 2 month lead time, and it ran almost flawlessly. That's amazing. Like that's almost impossible to do what they did the first time. And then they kept on doing it every year and getting bigger. So when you're seeing other people mimic you, and when you're seeing other people and then getting criticized, it doesn't seem fair. And it also feels like you're not getting enough flowers, because I don't know but I don't think the vast majority of their money is coming off this YouTube show. It's a lead generator for other things, but it's not. So when you're producing this much free content and you know so many people getting this benefit, it gets frustrating, especially as a pioneer. So I stand with them on that. I understand that.
They know I'm self-made.
Or won't repay that loan back from 3 years ago.
So Ian said about repaying. So that's something people also don't see. And I'm that as somebody who's also a business owner and somebody who's lent out money too. It's very interesting. Sometimes the people you do the most for are the ones who stab you in the back the hardest. And it's true. People, I find, and maybe I'm bringing a lot of my personal stuff into it, but I find that people often want more out of you than they're willing to do for themselves. And then they expect you to do more. They expect you to be perfect. And if you've been great to them 99.9% of the time, that 0.01% of something they don't like, they're going to eviscerate you for that. And that can be very frustrating. I have, I quote bad loans out with people I thought had a lot of love for me. And I've seen them even recently do some things. And I was like, wow, how could you treat me this way or interpret things? But unfortunately, that's just the way of people, and being a leader and being a pioneer, that's something they go through. So when you see this frustration boils out, it's because a lot of times, especially really good leaders, there's so much we don't share, right? There's so much we don't say about what's going on beside how many people we've helped and what they're doing to us. And when there's an issue, we typically don't complain. So when you go through things like that as somebody who's done so much, it's frustrating and it upsets you. And sometimes you may be giving somebody out of something you barely have. There's been times that I've lent somebody money knowing that I actually need the money, but I felt they needed it more. And I thought, you know what, I can weather this storm. So that's something just to think about. Have you ever done something like that? How would you react to it?
Yeah. Yo, we forgot, bro. Shout out to Broadcom.
Yes, stay focused.
Shout out to my 1000% club.
And this is me. I'm not speaking on behalf of Ian. I'm not speaking on behalf of Troy. I know you say like I'm the one that always gets everybody in trouble. You got to understand, I never got bullied in high school. So I'm not going to get bullied online.
Online,
for real.
Now, this is a great point. I think it can talk to the psyche. I'm going to analyze this from two ways. The psyche of the person in terms of how they react to something. Rashad, from what I know, we actually grew up kind of close to each other. I never knew him growing up. That's not what I'm presenting. But he grew up in Greenberg. For high school, I grew up in a place called Elmsford. So it was a little down the way. And Rashad was a basketball player, right? I think he also played in college as well. Now, I was a basketball player too. I didn't play in college, but I can tell you from an athlete's perspective and competitive nature, a lot of athletes, especially alpha, we don't like to get bullied. We don't get bullied. So when somebody reacts or tries to do something which we're coming off as trying to bully it, we know we have to set the tone, because on the court, if your competitors or if other people say, oh, wait, this person can be bullied, I can sun them, I can push them, then everybody's going to try to start doing it. So right now, I think this is also personality and how he grew up in setting the tone like, no, this is not, I'm quiet. I let a lot of slights pass, but you are not going to bully me. You're not going to. And that comes from I think the basketball alpha personality, so letting it be known there are going to be consequences. And sometimes in basketball, you raise your elbow a bit, you leave out your knee, right? You give them a shoulder, letting people know, hey, you're not going to treat me any such way, because at the end of the day, you have to protect yourself to a certain extent. Now, when he's talking exit, this is something else. So this is the second part I want to analyze. When somebody's doing really well and they're growing, sometimes the things they started off with are not as valuable to them as they were before. So running this podcast, running Market Mondays, running being the spokesperson may be something that's not actually adding much to his bottom line. Maybe before it was 50%, and now that's dribbled. That has gone down to 5%. I don't know the number. I didn't analyze the stats, but that's something to say, is that 5% worth it? Like, there's a principle called the Pareto principle, which essentially is 80% of the money you make comes from 20% of your outputs, right? Or 20% of the things you're doing. So does he really need to go after the whole 100%, or say, you know what, I can cut off this and I'm still making 95% of the money I make? Why do I need to do this? And then think of it from the percent. Is it going to hurt more him or hurt the population at large, them stopping doing Market Mondays? Because there's a ton of other shows or people that put out stocks by nobody has the accuracy I've seen of Market Mondays without having a high wall of edge and a very limited population they serve. No one. From what I've seen, no one. So that is something to really think about and understand. When you piss off people who are doing really well, they can just say, you know what, I'm not going to get involved. And I think this also ties into why a lot of wealthy people, and especially Black wealthy people, don't get as involved as they do with just the general public, right? There's a frustration seeing, look, I help people and then I get called out, I get reamed, I have to deal with issues. It's not worth it to me. And that's essentially what he's telling you. He's like, keep on pushing. It's not worth it to me. And you push me to a certain extent, I'll just say, let's hang it up. I don't want to do this anymore. So the people who are really benefiting, I think, have to speak up and say, hey, these guys are great. They've done wonders for me, and make them feel welcome. Because if they're not getting the economic benefit, but they're just dealing with issues and blames and stress, why do it? Right? The world is too big.
So I'm not really too concerned about too much. We did a great job. I think we got some time left, but we ain't trying to do this forever. I'm trying to be 50 years old still hosting a podcast. We gave you the information. It's like the Bible, the Quran. You don't need a remix of these books. There's one book that was written. We gave you 39 books, and we gave you a New York Times best-selling book. How much information we going to give you?
You deserve it.
You can't pick up the pieces and figure it out at this point. Probably not even going to happen anyway.
They said you're getting us in trouble.
So this is just, as I said, the frustration from is if he's getting shot, why continue taking the shots when he feels like he's given so much? And also not just things that can only be executed at a certain point in time. He feels like he's given evergreen content, and I think they have. I think there's evergreen content that people can reuse and use. And also he wrote a book, and they also give book recommendations on what to read. I know Ian had recommended for me Money Master the Game, and that's a book that really changed my perspective on a lot of things, and many of the other books they recommend as well. Read all of them. It's helped really expand my portfolio. I'm not going to say, but I've done really well following their advice. So I'm very grateful to them.
None of these people is on our level. Not one of them. Nobody has ever done what we've done. We talking about really democratized financial literacy on a real level, highly respected at anywhere we go. Really throwing events with 40,000 people. Really got a New York Times bestseller. Really got 3 podcasts in the top 100.
I think they brought financial literacy to the masses, and a particular set of masses that have never received this quality of information in ways that they can execute. So that's the frustration, saying, hey, do you understand how much I've given you? Do you understand how much I've given others? Why are you attacking me? Why are you not just attacking me? Why are you making up stuff about me? And think about how you would react if something like this happened to you.
So you want to play games and you're going to end up broke. If you want to follow the information, all you got to do is listen to what we say, and you're guaranteed to make money. It's not even up to me. They put it in the chat already for you. How could you not have made money? How could you not have made money?
So, right, ask people who actually did, if you did it, did you make money? or just go back test it with anything, anybody in life. This is a rule for life, really. Anybody who you want to pick up as advisor, mentor, follow, influence, etc. Go look at the people who followed them before, right? Or go look at the information they gave before. Backtest it. If you were there and followed them at the point, where would you be in life? Especially if they have 4, 5, 10 years of public information. Can you go back and follow what they've done and know for yourself, right?
Might be enough for her. Yeah, man.
So this ain't no game. I'm not making no relationship content with my girl. I'm not doing none of that silly shit. We here to make you money.
No. Chill. No, that's too far.
So this is another point he's saying. This is why I said I don't view their content as entertainment or just pure media. It's their educational, informative, trying to make you money, trying to help you level up in your career, level up in your investments, etc. That's the focus here. So comparing their numbers to other types of platforms that are really bent on you consuming their content, it's a different thing.
See, I said chill.
Rashad.
So, Ian. So, like, I know they're like, yo, Shad, he's upset. What did happen to him? Like, no, what he's saying feels harsh. Okay, I get it. But there's truth to it. At some point, what happens when you come on Monday and there's no show?
And it's going to be abrupt, too. Like how WCW went out of business, it's going to be real abrupt. Hey, y'all, it's been real.
So they're saying what they are thinking about doing. And I know that if they're saying this now, this might have been a thought for a while. And I posited this before. If they're not here and you look at the information, how would you be going forward? Will you be in a great place or would you be in a mediocre place? That's for everyone to decide for themselves. That's for everyone to decide for themselves.
The guy who was a quote unquote successful black man, but I don't really consider you successful just because you went to Ivy League school or you work in Wall Street. Because what have you done for black people? These are the same people that work that was worth hundreds of millions of dollars and never gave back to the community. Look down on the vast majority of black people for their whole.
So this is something that does happen, and that's somebody who went to a very prestigious law school and have been in certain circles. I see a lot of people say they're for the black culture, but they want it done in a certain way. And I think that's the era of being growing up in some structures or seeing certain things only in a certain. And the goal is to have change, right? And I think one of the biggest issues we had in the growth or with the forward movement of the black or African population is there's too much infighting, or everybody feels like it has to be done their way or seen their way. There are the people who come from the quote unquote elite class, and then the people who kind of figured out the school of hard knocks, right? And not to say that these brothers are educated, they are, but the school of hard knocks. And sometimes the elite class can look down on the school of hard knocks and say, hey, this, we don't like how you're presenting it. We don't want you to do it. And is the goal the form or is the goal the outcome? If the goal is the outcome, whoever is getting us to pushing us towards the outcome, we should be supporting. Or if you're not at least supporting it, don't block them, right? I think that's the issue Martin and Malcolm had for too long. They were arguing with each other, or everybody would say, hey, I'm loyal to Martin. I'm loyal to Malcolm X. No, are we loyal to the progress of our group moving forward? If we're loyal to that, you know what? I don't agree with Martin's way, but let him do his thing. Hopefully it works. I don't agree with Malcolm's way, but let him do his thing. Hopefully it works. Oftentimes we're trying to get people to do the same form and function that we do. No, let them roll. Let them go forward. It's working. It's working. They've created, as I said, I think they've created $100 million at least of new capital in the black community. That's what I personally believe. That's better. Long-term, that's better.
That's making a lot of money. There's 20 food trucks that's making a lot of money. We're giving away $125,000 live on stage. We're going to talk about another $25,000. We done had giveaways. We done bring in kids. We brought 150 kids from the Bronx that never even traveled to Atlanta ever in their life. We're bringing them to Atlanta.
And that's something that happens too. I see this, and I don't want, this is not just, I'm not going to posit this to elite, because I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of love in certain spaces, but there is sometimes a sense of, hey, it should have been me, or why aren't they following me? And to think about it, is that what we require for success to come through us? Or do we just want success? And I also see the gatekeeping he talks about. There's some people who don't want more Black people in the room or more information get because if they feel it takes away their edge. And that's what you have to realize. And we all have to realize when they're giving us this information, it is technically taking away their edge. Because at this point, I think hedge funds are following Ian because his price targets are amazing. I think hedge funds are following. And what happens if they're following his price points that he's giving up? That means he's losing his ability to make money because the financial investment, it's really cutthroat. It's them or us, really. And when I say them or us, I mean there's another person on the side of every trade. There's another person on the side of every trade. So if they're giving you their entry points or where they want you to get in the markets, that means there's less opportunities for them to get into the market at that way. Or maybe some people try to get in too early, so that entry never appears. So understand that some people do want to be gatekeepers. When you see other people who are giving amazing information away, I really think we have to evaluate why are people trying to go at them. And sometimes the ego thing, sometimes somebody was slighted and or they felt slighted. But we really need to start defending our people. And that's one thing I really want to see our culture move forward. Let's stop focusing on defending our entertainers. Let's stop focusing on defending our athletes. Let's start focusing on defending people who are opening doors for us, especially regarding careers, regarding capital, regarding entrepreneurship. I really want us to move forward in that way. And I think that will change the trajectory of the potential and the actualization of that potential for the Black and African community. And I think the world will be even better for that.
And I'm not even talking about, I'm not talking about a social media influencer. I'm talking about somebody that's actually, quote unquote, supposed to be at the highest level of business. These are things that you don't see. This is why I'm frustrated. This is the thing I deal with every day. These people are supposed to be upstanding Black people. Only thing that they want to do is get up a ladder and kick it down.
Yeah, they're the only Black person in the white rooms.
Yeah, so that's something that happens, right? And so his anger is not only against these influencers or people who are doing that, it's also against, once you start climbing up, you see what structures are in place, what barricades are in place, what fences are in place, right? What ladders are in place. And then you see people utilize certain things. And then when they try to destroy it so nobody else can get to their position and they're safer, right? Their position is safe. So if they're seeing that and they're saying that, hey, I see you doing this, but you're getting mad at us because we're creating ladders. So oftentimes when I try to analyze where somebody's coming from, I don't just look at the interaction between me and them. I try to view what's their position in their ecosystem or in their vision or their goals, whatever, and what other things are they facing, right? What's helping them, what's hurting them. And then you can really analyze, in my opinion, what's going on to a certain extent. And I think all of this frustration boils out of this, for lack of better words, this tide of resentment, backstabbing, barricading that's happening and that they're facing. So that's my reaction to this video. There's a lot longer I can go on this, but I want to say I agree with where Rashad is. I understand his frustration. If I was in shoes, I'll probably feel exactly the same way. And I appreciate what they've done for the culture, what they've done for me, what they continue doing. Because at any point, right, part of life is getting networks, part of life is getting capital, right? Part of life is building power. They could have stopped, right? They've met with some of the most amazing and influential people in the Black world and the world in general. Like the people they're bringing up to this next investment fest they don't show up to speak. And I don't think people understand how powerful that is. So understanding that they could have just cut it off and kept it all for themselves in their circle and they could have created a fund. Really, Ian could create a fund, Troy and Rashad could create a fund, and just like say, you know what, we're just going to go after these opportunities and do it ourselves. But they didn't do it. They keep on pouring back. So if you kill the pioneers and you kill the leaders, don't get upset when the population is the same place in 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And don't just blame it on the system. at some point we're going to have to stop poisoning ourselves. Do you agree? Do you disagree with me? Either way, God bless. Take care. Please feel free to tag a video that you think I should react to. And if I utilize it, I'll shout you out. Take care.